In less than 10 seconds, a cruiser that was 1,300 meters long transformed into a mecha giant of the same height. Inside the Kang Chong, Song Chi's eyes shone with a bright light. As his divine thought thread fully integrated with the body of the ship, the Kang Chong also shifted into its mecha form. At this moment, he instinctively felt as if he had completely merged with the Kang Chong. Every movement of his would be synchronously transmitted to the mecha giant, as natural as moving his own limbs, without the slightest obscurity or delay. At this moment, he had a strong sensation that he was the Kang Chong, and the Kang Chong was him. This feeling was indescribable, but it was certain that, compared to its previous warship form, its agility and real-time combat power had greatly surpassed it by far too much. Whoosh! A flash of light appeared, and a long sword bursting with stunning red light materialized in the hands of the mecha giant. With the endless infusion of spectral energy, the divine weaving sword rapidly expanded until it became a sharp long sword 700 meters in length. Paired with the mecha giant's 5 elements changing energy shield on its surface, anyone who saw this scene would be dazzled. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Under Song Chi's control, the mecha giant brandished the divine weaving sword back and forth multiple times, drawing dazzling red sword lights in the silent void space. After a short 10 minutes, Song Kai voluntarily deactivated the mythical mecha form. Sweat droplets remained on his forehead. Clearly, maintaining this mythical mecha form for even a short period placed a considerable strain on his spiritual force. After all, I've only just begun to transform into the divine consciousness state spirit. Both the strength and control of my spiritual force are far from enough. Moreover, this first transformation into the mythical mecha form was quite obscure. With more familiarity over time, the duration should significantly improve, he thought. Additionally, I have yet to comprehend the power of laws and haven't mastered the family's inherited secret techniques. There's still a significant room for enhancement in my combat power in the future, he thought. With that, Song Kai controlled the Kang Chong to return to the ruins market, not in a hurry to exit, but instead initiating a new trading session at the marketplace. Having absorbed 4th-rank soul-cleansing liquid for more than a year, he had missed the monthly occasion of market trading for dozens of times. Now that he had some time, he had to resume the monthly ruins market trading, which was the foundation of his prosperity all along. Without any surprises, after more than a year since the last trading session, creatures like Zhou Ping, Goblin Luke, the Centaurs, and the Trent race almost immediately entered the market through either a ruins market guest token or a ruins market walking rank. Song Kai, fully aware of their silent grievances and surprises, could say nothing, simply chatting with the multitude of creatures whilst posing as a blue-blooded human. If you ask me, regardless of the ruins market or what happened to the great entity behind it, the restart of trading is good for us. After all, the time and number of usages on our tokens haven't changed during this year and more, have they? That's correct. The ruins market had not been opened for a long time, which had a significant impact on the elixir business of the sect behind me. Now, at last, we can rest easy. This session of the ruins market trading was uneventful and unsurprising, just like the previous ones. After the trading ended, Song Kai opened the market panel to take a look and finally set his gaze on the up rank requirement row. Up rank requirement. Ruins market trading volume met 300,000, 358,300 thousandths. Second rank floating land origin, 1 ether crystal. Seeing this attribute, Song Kai sighed. For the past 3 years exploring the ancient Starry Sky battlefield, he had never once missed dozens of ruins market trading sessions, which had long fulfilled the conditions for promotion to 3rd rank. The reason for not advancing was the ether crystal. The ether crystal is also a type of spatial mineral resource, much more precious than ordinary spatial minerals, being the essence of the common spatial mineral, ether stone. Even the ether stone is already rare, and to condense an ether crystal from an ether stone vein requires a large vein, and even then, it's not certain to produce one. Even though Song Kai had posted a purchase request for the item early on both his family forum and with resource acquisition shops, he still hadn't managed to secure his target, which was a persistent source of frustration for him. As for using mixed elemental copper as a substitute, to be honest, Song Kai was somewhat reluctant. Although ether crystals were rare, they were not once in a millennium rare. With some extra effort, he could still obtain them. After closing the Ruins Market Attributes panel, he returned to the Kang Chong. In front of the Chikong's number 004 Breeding Secret Realm component, Song Chi's gaze fixated on the red component. After exploring the ancient Starry Sky battlefield for 3 years and then refining that 4th-rank soul-cleansing liquid for another year and a half, the onboard Secret Realm had already completed its second round of Secret Realm acceleration, and even the 1-year cooldown period had passed, ready to initiate the third round of acceleration. However, before starting, Song Kai had to enter the Secret Realm first. Within the Secret Realm, the 4th batch of 50 top-rank Millennium Dragon Blood fruits on the 10 Dragon Blood fruit trees were not yet fully matured. Although Song Kai had meditated on the spot for over a year, absorbing the 4th-rank soul-cleansing liquid, he had previously arranged for an enslaved creature under his command to handle the interim harvesting, so no time was wasted. Speaking of the Millennium Dragon Blood fruits, Song Kai had amassed a total of 150 in the first 3 batches, using 2 for exchanging Sand of Time while the remaining 148 were divided, with half going to his sect. He still had 74 on hand. Beyond the Dragon Blood fruits, Song Chi's attention turned to the Divine Tempering fruit tree, which had borne fruits for 6 cycles, with the 7th batch not yet ripe. Out of the 6 cycles, he had gathered a total of 120 Divine Tempering fruits. After deducting the 15 used for exchanging 4th-rank soul-cleansing liquid and giving another 55 to his sect, he was left with 50 in his possession. Finally, there was the Silver Apple Mother Tree. After 2 cycles of acceleration spanning nearly 40,000 years, not only had 3 silver apples reappeared on the tree, but they were also ripe for harvesting. Of course, those 3 silver apples were all the lowest 4th rank, which could only advance blue components to purple. Spectral energy surged around him, and without activating the power of laws of the breeding Secret Realm, Song Kai soared up and plucked the 3 silver apples from the mother tree. He already had plans for the use of the 3 silver apples. Alas! 4th-rank silver apples are still a bit low. I need to enhance the Secret Realm components to 5th rank as soon as possible. That way, the Silver Apple Mother Tree shouldn't take long to rise to 5th rank as well. After all, it was originally a 6th-rank stellar plant. Once that happens, it will be able to consistently produce 5th-rank silver apples. With a quiet sigh, Song Chi's thoughts shifted, and his figure vanished from the breeding Secret Realm. In the outside world, back on the Kang Chong, Song Kai immediately activated the 3rd Secret Realm Accelerator feature. While doing so, he threw the 4th-rank Void Crystal he had retrieved from the rare mineral storage room into the breeding Secret Realm, which would further enhance the time leap of the realm's acceleration. After finishing that, his gaze shifted once more, falling on the warship's various blue components. There were 10 blue components on the Kang Chong, but only 3 silver apples. Electromagnetic Ray Cannon, Abnormal Status Purifier, Purple River Translocation Device, Fixed Point Launch Pad, Blood Soul Stigma, Space Beacon Emitter, Void Membrane, Sonic Silence Field, Torch Warship Boarding Certificate, Winged Launch Platform. However, since he had made arrangements well in advance, he was not hesitant this time. His gaze fell on 3 components. Electromagnetic Ray Cannon, Void Membrane, Abnormal Status Purifier. The Electromagnetic Ray Cannon and Void Membrane need no further mention, as both were top-notch blue components already with their features. After using silver apples to upgrade to purple components, although they could not gain an additional feature, their existing feature would be greatly enhanced, much stronger than those of typical purple components. As for the Abnormal Status Purifier, this component can autonomously purify the various abnormal statuses that Kang Chong suffers from, and its function is certainly significant. Even though Kang Chong currently possesses the Tai Soul Suppressing Steel, The orange component specifically targets the spiritual mind and is far from as comprehensive as the abnormal status purifier. Just like the swapping component that Song Gang previously employed, the swapping mark that landed on Kang Chong could not trigger the Tai soul suppressing steel. If it weren't for the abnormal status purifier, that time Song Kai would have fallen into considerable danger. Therefore, there's definitely a necessity to upgrade the quality of the abnormal status purifier component. As for the specific features, he'd already prepared them. Tracking mark purifier LV0 quality, blue feature, purification effect doubled. Despite this component belonging to the class of abnormal status purifiers, its function is not as comprehensive as the abnormal status purifier, capable only of purifying tracking marks, which is why Song Kai had chosen it. The three components were quickly upgraded, and their attributes naturally saw a significant enhancement. Regarding the rank of the three, both the electromagnetic ray cannon and the abnormal status purifier were at LV39, only requiring one more enhancement to significantly boost their attributes, yet Song Kai did not enhance either of them. The reason for this was that he didn't have many 4th rank floating land origins on hand, only the 100 strands given by his grandfather earlier, and he was saving these for enhancing several high-ranked components. As for whether to use them for enhancing the Neutron Star Core Armor, Immortal Realm 5 Elements Celestial Energy Shield, or Shikong's number 004 Breeding Secret Realm, later on, he still needed to carefully consider. Having obtained several thousand titanium crystals inside the Tri-Eye Race flagship, adding to the accumulation from Zhou Ping's past dozens of instances, he now had over 4,000 titanium crystals. However, 4th rank floating land origins were still in extremely short supply. At the foot of Dragon Spine's sacred mountain, the family merit hall. As soon as Song Kai took out the 5 ancient corpses, without the slightest hesitation, the merit hall directly purchased them at the price of 110 golden merit points each. As for why there was such a change, previously, the family's purchasing price was only 80 golden merit points. This was actually related to Song Chi's 7th sequence status. Becoming part of the family sequence wasn't just about support in terms of resources for 100 years. There were also noticeable hidden benefits in other aspects, including merit exchanges. With these 550 golden merit points added to his account, Song Kai now had a total of 680 golden merit points, but this still wasn't enough. He then took out 5 Millennium Dragon Blood Fruits and 10 Divine Tempering Fruits. After certification by the Merit Hall, these 15 special fruits exchanged for another 450 golden merit points for Song Kai. When he first learned that each Millennium Dragon Blood Fruit could be equivalent to half an Orange Glory component, he was somewhat surprised. He thought he had already overestimated the allure of longevity for torch ship captains but realized he had been conservative after all. Song Kai was puzzled about this. After all, it was only an increase of 50 years in lifespan. In this great era of the Starry Sea, 50 years was truly insignificant, while each Orange Glory component was the result of thousands, nearly 10,000 years of cultivation, wasn't it? However, when he considered it from the perspective of a former Blue Star inhabitant, it seemed very normal. For those torch ship captains whose lives were nearing an end, the value of life-extending spiritual objects could even exceed that of orange components. Provided one could find the right buyer, this purchasing price was definitely a profitable deal. Without dwelling on it much, Song Chi's attention quickly shifted to the account, which now had over 1,100 golden merit points. With sufficient golden merit points, it was naturally easy to reach the above 70th floor of the Merit Tower. The area of this level was standard, but the exchange items displayed within were astonishing to Song Kai. Soul Extinguishing Pupil Light Cannon LV0 quality, red. Exchange price: 1,000 golden merit points AAAA. Half Dragon People Soldier Figurine Tree LV0 quality, red. Exchange price: 1,200 golden merit points AAAA. Super Fusion Nuclear Energy Shield LV0 quality, red. Exchange price: 1,100 golden merit points AAAA. Crocodile Horned Green Jiao Enslavement Certificate. Name: Crocodile Horned Green Jiao. Rank: 5th rank. Exchange requirement: 3,000 golden merit points. AAAA Vampire Duke Primordial Blood. Rank: 5th rank. Quantity: 1 drop. Exchange price: 1,000 golden merit points. AAAA. Seeing the array of exchange items before him, Song Kai realized profoundly in that moment just how deep the heritage of a clan that had a 6th rank fearless ship and nearly 3,000 years of legacy truly was. The items in the 70th to 79th floors of the Merit Tower were either red components or enslavement certificates and primordial blood of 5th rank level creatures. Each of these items was absolutely rare to encounter in the outside world. Forcing his gaze away from the 5th rank Crocodile Horned Green Jiao Enslavement Certificate, Song Kai turned his attention back to the soul extinguishing pupil light cannon component before him. To be honest, if he exchanged all his Millennium Dragon Blood fruits with the family, he could indeed accumulate 3,000 golden merit points, and thus, he felt a hidden impulse to do so. But considering the potentially higher value these top-ranked Dragon Blood fruits would fetch in the Ruins market, Song Kai ultimately refrained. If creatures like vampires and elves were considered the long-lived species within the Shattered Starry Sea, having extremely long natural lifespans, and the Starry Sea human race was the most standard, with an average lifespan in comparison to other species of the Starry Sea, then creatures like goblins would definitely be classified into the short-lived category. For normal members of the human race, lifespans generally fall between 80 and 120 years. Goblins, however, typically only live for 30 to 50 years, and even after undergoing life sublimation, the extension of their lifespan is far less than that of other creatures in the Starry Sea. Because of this, the millennia-old Dragon Blood fruit, once it appears within the Silver Goblin Empire where Goblin Luke resides, will inevitably receive extreme fervor. Song Kai had already decided that for the future Ruins market trades, he would offer up the millennia-old Dragon Blood fruit in the guise of a member of the Blue Blood clan, to see if he could sell it at a higher price to Goblin Luke. It just so happened that over the past 7 or 8 years, the Viscount's mansion behind Goblin Luke had also accrued ample profits from every Terrorstone and various Goblin-engineered merchandise they sold. It was time for them to bleed a little. With his mind made up, Song Kai did not dally any longer. 1,000 gold merit points were deducted, and the red main cannon, the soul-extinguishing pupil light cannon, was now in his hands. Soul-extinguishing pupil light cannon LV0 quality, red. Feature: Soul-extinguishing pupil light. Feature 2. Main cannon might enhanced by 80%. Feature 3. Each attack has a 10% chance to trigger a double strike effect. Consumption: 100. Shot, spectral energy points, might, 76. Charge: 30s. Buffer: 60s. Up rank requirement: 20 strands of 0 rank floating land origin, 2,000 spectral energy points, 10 kilograms soul crystal. Soul extinguishing pupil light consumes 20,000 spectral energy points. After a 30-second charge, fires a beam of soul extinguishing pupil light at a designated spot. The soul extinguishing pupil light causes 150% damage to beings possessing a spirit. Buffer time: 48 hours. Song Kai had long coveted this main cannon, and now, having exchanged for it, he felt as if he had fulfilled a wish. Additionally, with the acquisition of this main cannon, Kang Chong's arsenal was finally complete. After leaving the Merit Tower, Song Kai summoned Kang Chong and installed the red main cannon onto it. For this red main cannon, Song Kai spent 3 strands of 4th rank floating land origin to enhance it to LV40. After all, it was a red epic grade main cannon. Once enhanced to the 4th rank, the attributes of the main cannon had greatly increased. Compared to the former Pure Yang Swordbeam cannon, it was much stronger. However, the Pure Yang Swordbeam cannon had already been enhanced to LV50, so for the moment, the two could not be compared. Having finished enhancing the main cannon, Song Kai recalled Kang Chong and made his way towards the clan ancestral hall. His spiritual force had successfully transformed into the divine consciousness state, and with everything else in order, he couldn't wait to set off for the Dragonspine's secret realm. Within the ancestral hall, the projection of Song Xuanchang still sat solemnly in the seat of honor. Upon seeing Song Kai walk in, he showed no surprise. "You're here." While nodding, Song Kai felt an inexplicable sensation within. Compared to his past few visits, he sensed that the clan head seemed different today. Even though the projection's expression remained unchanged from beginning to end, intuition told him that the clan head's mood today was indeed better than on previous days. "Is it because I successfully transformed into the divine consciousness state spirit? Or did the clan have a delightful discovery within the Tri-Eye Race Dominator's flagship?" Multiple guesses instinctively surfaced in his mind, but before he could ponder further, the law of space around the projection above the hull suddenly shifted, and in the next moment, the clan head's projection had already moved close to him. The intangible projection's hand briefly patted his shoulder, and then Song Kai felt the space before his eyes twist and change. When he came to his senses, he had reappeared in the Dragonspine's secret realm, a place he had visited once before. Different from the last time, Song Kai instinctively retracted his gaze, not daring to casually observe his surroundings. Then, the voice of Song Xuanchang sounded beside him. Now that your divine consciousness state spirit has been perfected, there's no need to worry about those primordial origin laws in the Dragonspine's secret realm anymore. On the contrary, for you at present, these primordial origin laws can still enhance your perception speed in comprehending the power of laws. After finishing speaking, the Patriarch's avatar strode toward the mountain range in the distance that resembled a starry sky behemoth, the dragon whale. "Follow up." Song Kai lifted his gaze, curiously looking around, his steps quick as he closely followed the Patriarch's avatar. While on the move, Song Kai wasn't idle either. His spirit converged, and strands of divine thought threads spread from his mind, extending towards the surrounding manifested primordial origin laws. The Dragonspine's secret realm was a primordial secret realm. Although it was not one of the top-tier secret realms, only the law of spatial origin existed within it, and there was no time law of origin. Apart from the law of spatial origin, however, all other laws were complete, sufficient for the Song clan members to comprehend different paths of laws on their own. As for the time law, although it and the space law were collectively known as the two strongest laws in the Starry Sea, the former was even more profound than the latter. Not only in terms of might but also in the difficulty of comprehension, the cultivation speed of time law secret techniques, and the corresponding attribute resources were harder and less abundant than those of space law. Therefore, the actual impact on the Song family was not significant. After all, creatures following the path of time law were rare, and those that could reach a certain height on this path were even rarer. Within the entire Dingai Song family, there were very few clan members who chose the path of time law. As the two moved forward, Song Kai continuously used his own spirit to comprehend the surrounding primordial origin laws that manifested. In a short time, various comprehensions successively flooded his mind. At this moment, the leading Patriarch's avatar suddenly said, "Comprehending laws is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Individual energy is limited. Even for a single law, reaching a significant height requires a gradual accumulation over a long period. Therefore, if you have chosen a direction, stick to that path. As for other laws, if possible, try not to touch upon them. The difficulty of comprehending one law as opposed to two, or even several at the same time, increases geometrically." Hearing this, Song Kai suddenly understood. All along his journey, the divine thought threads had touched upon at least 5 different origin laws. The Patriarch was worried that he would become indecisive in the future, wanting to try all sorts of laws, hence the reminder. To this, Song Kai responded softly, "Thank you for the reminder, Patriarch, your son understands well." He was, of course, aware of this. After becoming a member of the family hierarchy, his personal privileges greatly increased. Information that had been inaccessible to him before was no longer a secret. He had naturally reviewed the information regarding laws. The reason he had casually touched upon the various manifested laws was of course intentional. Having only recently transformed into the divine consciousness state spirit, he was not yet familiar with the control over the force of spirit. He was using this approach to enhance his control over his spirit, which would substantially increase the speed of his subsequent law comprehensions. As for these other law comprehensions, he naturally would not delve deeply into them. From the beginning to the end, the path of law he chose was solely the space law. Soon, the two successfully arrived at the base of a colossal mountain range. Song Kai knew that this mountain range was the one resembling a sprawling dragon whale spine. Looking up, although he couldn't make out the entire shape of the mountain range, among the blood-red mountains, he could faintly see the strands of mysterious origin laws. Compared to the origin laws encountered on the way up, those manifested on the blood-red mountain range were noticeably different. Song Kai couldn't tell exactly what the difference was, but the feeling was exceptionally strong. High up on the mountain flank, countless tens of thousands of meters in the air, he saw several towering steles. Even from a great distance, Song Kai could see a large number of origin laws manifested on these tall steles. While he curiously stared at the towering steles, Song Xuanchang's voice sounded once more. This mountain is called Dragon Whale Mountain. The steles you see are the inherited secret techniques steles left by our family over the past 3,000 years. On those steles are numerous family inherited secret techniques. However, if you want to comprehend and learn these secret techniques, you must climb step by step to where the mountain waste is located. To learn these secret techniques, the most fundamental condition is the comprehension of the corresponding power of laws. What you need to do is to climb all the way, while comprehending the origin law you have chosen on the way. Hearing what the family head had said, Song Kai was lost in a myriad of thoughts. The number of secret technique inheritance steles he could currently see was 6, and just from this fact alone, many conjectures could be made. For instance, could it really be that there were only 3 high-rank ancestors in the clan? It was well known that an existence capable of inventing a secret technique must have an extremely profound comprehension of a certain law, at least to the level of a 5th rank level torch ship captain, as a 4th rank definitely wouldn't have this ability. Thus, even if each of the 6 inheritance steles represented a single 5th rank level torch ship captain, that would suggest that the family had a minimum of 6 such individuals since its inheritance began. Yet, as far as Song Kai knew, there were only 3 high-rank ancestors that had emerged in the family. With this thought, Song Kai couldn't help but be filled with curiosity. However, Song Xuanchang did not give him the chance to continue his wild conjectures, continuing to say, Dragon Whale Mountain is different from other areas of the secret realm. From its foot to its peak, the manifested origin laws strictly follow the rule from weak to strong, allowing clan members, no matter their level of law comprehension, to find the most suitable area for their law hierarchy to comprehend, thereby maximizing their speed of comprehending the origin law. As he spoke, he glanced over at Song Kai and then added, For someone like you who has yet to start, naturally, it is most appropriate to begin at the foot of the mountain. Those manifested laws you encountered on the way might seem like they offer infinite comprehension, but in reality, they are too ethereal. Once your spiritual essence is withdrawn from those manifested laws, these comprehensions will immediately be stripped away by over 99.9999%. Upon hearing these words, Song Kai came to a realization. He had always felt that there was something notably different about the origin laws on this Dragon Whale Mountain. Now it seemed that was indeed the case. The origin laws that manifested on the Blood-Red Mountain, though seemingly not very different at first glance, revealed significant differences in the true strength of their contained law essence upon closer observation. From the foot to the peak, the strength of these manifested origin laws was continuously increasing. All right. Comprehend well. You have a limit of 10 years. The reason you are not allowed to stay long is because the primordial secret realm is ultimately different from the starry sea outside. It lacks certain laws. If you stay in the secret realm for too long, the laws you comprehend will never be able to resonate with the Starry Sea origin law. Only by assimilating with the supreme law of the Starry Sea periodically to supplement what is missing, can you fully transform the laws you comprehend into Starry Sea law, so as not to sever your future path, while preserving your law comprehension degree obtained within the secret realm. Listening intently to this knowledge that was normally difficult to come by, a thought suddenly struck Song Kai. Family head, what if one uses a law crystal to aid in comprehension? The projection beside him showed no change in emotion. Song Kai was able to bring out a silver legend component, so it was not surprising that he had a low-level law crystal in his hands. He spoke in a low voice. A law crystal, combined with the manifested origin laws of this primordial secret realm, can greatly increase your speed of law comprehension, but this 10-year limit is not directly related to that. Even though the law crystal is condensed from and derived from the Starry Sea origin law, the law essence it contains is too weak and too little to be comparable to the real Starry Sea origin law. Song Xuanchang departed, as silently as he had arrived, leaving Song Kai alone at the foot of the towering blood-red mountain. His gaze was resolute, and he took his first step onto Dragon Whale Mountain. His sight roamed around him, searching for a suitable place to comprehend. According to what the family head had said earlier, with his current degree of law comprehension still at the beginner stage, it was most appropriate to comprehend within 100 meters at the foot of the mountain. Although there was a general area to focus on, not every spot within 100 meters at the foot of the mountain could serve as a point of comprehension. Aside from that, Dragon Spine's secret realm, as a primordial secret realm, certainly manifested plenty of origin laws, with a unique primordial origin law appearing at certain distances, especially on this Dragon Whale Mountain, where they were most dense. Even so, not every part of Dragon Whale Mountain had points of origin law manifestation. At the very least, one had to traverse 10 meters, or even dozens of meters to find one. Moreover, among these points of origin law manifestation, they were not all the same law, including the time law, among other origin laws, more or less. As Song Kai had chosen the path of space law for himself, he naturally could not randomly select a point of manifestation for other primordial laws to comprehend. After walking only a few meters, Song Kai arrived near a point of manifestation of a primordial law. This primordial origin law was the law of gold, hanging several meters above the mountain in the void, with strands of mysterious golden energy radiating outward. Even from meters away, Song Chi's exposed skin could clearly feel the fine sensation of being sliced. Fortunately, this was a manifested origin law of the primordial type, not as unstable as the traces of law left after the battle of medium-high-ranked creatures in the ancient Starry Sky battlefield, which were prone to outbursts and posed high danger. Bypassing this law of gold, Song Kai proceeded towards a certain direction, where, dozens of meters away, lay his first target. Approaching the target site, not far in front of him was a space origin law, thick with the power of cutting. Unlike the previous law of gold, this primordial space law was engraved upon a bloodstone. However, this bloodstone was clearly extraordinary, for even after being perpetually sliced by a strand of primordial space law for years, its surface was still left without any trace. Threads of divine thought unfurled from Song Chi's mind, about to stretch towards the space law of spatial origin inscribed above the bloodstone, yet at this moment Song Kai suddenly noticed something. He sat down cross-legged right there, his gaze slowly moving downward to the blood-red ground before him, which was surprisingly covered with numerous traces. There were random scratches, as well as isolated characters of the Torch civilization, and even entire complete sentences. Among these, the clearest traces that Song Kai saw contained a complete sentence. Upon closer inspection, he discovered it was nothing more than an ordinary phrase. Dingai Calendar Year 1123, 26th Day of Understanding Space Law, Heavenly Vein Song Qilong's Mark. After scrutinizing the sentence carefully time after time, Song Kai still couldn't discern any significance from it. Having no other choice, he turned his gaze back to the bloodstone in front of him. As the threads of divine thought slowly touched the primordial law of spatial origin on the bloodstone, a major portion of Song Chi's spiritual force was instantly immersed in it. The remaining threads of divine thought then merged with the intermediate space law crystal he had taken out earlier, and with both reinforcing each other, the speed at which he comprehended the law of spatial origin was nothing short of astonishing. In this manner, the time Song Kai spent meditating in place began to accumulate gradually. For 3 whole days, his body remained motionless. After 6 days, it was still the same. It wasn't until half a month later that Song Chi's tightly shut eyes opened for the first time, but not because he had managed to get a basic grasp of space law. Rather, after a half-month of continuous comprehension, his spiritual force was so exhausted that he had to step back temporarily from his realization, rest for a night, and then resume his comprehension. Being able to comprehend for half a month in one go was certainly related to the special nature of the primordial origin law manifested by Dragon Whale Mountain. The origin law within 100 meters from the base of the mountain was most suited for those who have not yet entered the gateway of the law, ensuring not just the speed of law comprehension but also reducing the consumption of spiritual force during the period of comprehension to the minimum, significantly prolonging the time for each round of realization. After exiting from comprehension, Song Kai, without giving it much thought, fell into a deep sleep right there on the spot. The next day, once his spirit had entirely returned to its peak state, comprehension began anew. As days slipped by, on the 34th day, having slept deeply twice and after one transaction at the ruins market, Song Kai suddenly opened his eyes. This time, it was not due to mental fatigue, but there was a deep sense of surprise in his eyes, and his heart was cheering. The next second, he stretched out his right hand and, with a mere thought, a strand of mysterious force began to condense in the palm of his hand after a few seconds. This mysterious force was faint and elusive, as if it could disperse with the slightest carelessness. However, from the weak cutting energy it emitted, it was evidently a strand of space law. Though not stable, there was no doubt that it was a strand of space law indeed. Staring at this strand of space law, Song Kai could scarcely hide his joy. After 34 days, space law is finally entered. The elusive thread of law power in his hand was the space law he had comprehended, introductory level space law. Beyond his joy, Song Kai subconsciously looked down again at the dense array of marks on the ground, and this time, his perspective was completely different from that of a month ago. The engravings and sentences that had seemed ordinary and unremarkable now transformed into characters vibrating with subtle differences in space law fluctuations. Clearly, these engravings and sentences were the personal comprehensions of space law documented by his family ancestors after they had entered the gateway of the law. Looking again at that clearest sentence among the traces, Dingai Calendar Year 1123, 26th day of understanding space law, Heavenly Vein Song Qilong's mark. His eyes narrowed, a distinct unusual light shone in Song Chi's eyes. Compared to other marks, the traces containing the space law were markedly stronger in these clear lines, indicating that the person who left these marks possessed an unusually high degree of law comprehension. You should know that although it's the same entry-level understanding, the progress of law comprehension varies from person to person. Some comprehend the laws more deeply, while others have merely scratched the surface, showcasing the innate gift and potential of the enlightened one with respect to that particular law. Song Kai admitted to himself that his current understanding of the space law definitely did not reach the level of Song Qilong. More importantly, not only did he have an intermediate space law crystal to assist his comprehension, but it also took him 34 days to reach his current level, whereas the other party took only 26 days and their degree of comprehension still exceeded his by a considerable margin. He found it somewhat difficult to accept this. However, he soon consoled himself that among the dense carvings on the ground, the depth of his law comprehension was still in the upper echelons. As for those few monstrous talents, it wasn't strange that the Dingai Song family, with their inheritance spanning thousands of years, produced a few clan members with extremely high innate gifts in the space law. With that thought, He closed his eyes again and resumed his comprehension of the traces of law in front of him. Although he had entered the threshold of the space law, his comprehension was still limited. This 100-meter range at the foot of the mountain was still the most suitable area for him to continue his enlightenment. Another 20 days passed, and Song Kai finally stopped comprehending the origin law on the Bloodstone. During these 20 days, he made substantial progress with the space law. Reaching out his hand, in less than 3 seconds, a strand of space law, clearly more solid than 20 days before, appeared in the palm of his hand. At this point, this 100-meter range at the mountain foot was no longer suitable for his continued comprehension. However, before leaving, Song Kai looked down at the ground for a moment, then the law of spatial origin in his hand gradually gathered towards the tip of his index finger. Eventually, he used his index finger as a pen and inscribed his name in a crevice. Song Kai. The 2 characters were very clear, sharper even than those left by Song Qilong, but Song Kai wrote his name very small, which indicated that he acknowledged he was not at the same initial threshold as those few individuals. After all, it took him well over 50 days to reach this level of law comprehension, not counting deep sleep and transactions in the ruins market. That was almost twice the time it took Song Qilong. Standing up again, Song Kai strode forward with vigor, continuing to ascend along the mountainside. His fighting spirit was high, and he showed no hint of defeat. Even if he was a step behind others at this entry level, he did not believe he would always be behind. With the Zutian ruins market available to him, he was confident that sooner or later, he would overtake others in a future phase, achieving an overtaking on the bend. 6 days later, having reached over a kilometer above sea level on Dragon Whale Mountain, Song Kai paused the comprehension of new primitive space origin laws and quietly entered the ruins market's secret realm. According to what the family head had said, it was highly likely that he would spend 10 years within the Dragon Spine secret realm, involving over 100 ruins market transactions. Naturally, he could not overlook this fact that the ruins market transactions had to be initiated on time. It was just 1 day per month, hardly taking up much time, and he had already missed 10 successive transactions. Continuing this way for another 10 years would cause irreparable damage to his future prospects in the ruins market transactions. To avoid wasting time, he had deliberately overlapped his resting period with each ruins market transaction. In this manner, he could use the ruins market trading period to rejuvenate his spirit. Although he could not achieve deep sleep during this time, a 24-hour light sleep was sufficient for him to be fully energized, and it also would not affect the order of the ruins market itself. It was the best of both worlds. Once the ruins market transaction concluded, he would return to the Dragon Spine secret realm and continue his comprehension of the deeper levels of the space origin laws. Time passed swiftly, and in the blink of an eye, several years had gone by. During this period, Song Ting successfully awakened, and although it was only a white seed of torch, it was enough to delight the whole family. Besides, Shikong's number 004 breeding secret realm had once again completed a cycle of acceleration and buffering, and initiated a new cycle of acceleration. Unfortunately, both the Dragon Blood fruit tree and the Divine Tempering fruit tree had ceased to bear fruit. As floating land plants, they couldn't infinitely go through cycles of growth one round after the initial maturation by the clan, and they both entered a long period of dormancy, with no telling when they would bear fruit again. Song Kai was actually well aware of this. Floating land plants inherently possess a vast potential gap when compared to starry sky plants, which need tens of thousands of years to bear one or several fruits. How could floating land plants possibly bear multiple top-rank spirit fruits every few thousand years, let alone 10,000 years? In fact, all plants are the same. Each fruiting cycle consumes their own life energy. Starry sky plants, with their substantial life tree hearts filled with life energy, are not affected. Floating land plants, however, are different. After several cycles of fruit production, they would halt on their own for a period, until their life energy has recovered to its peak before continuing to bear spirit fruits. The only consolation was that, after this round of fruit production and excluding the half distributed within the pulse, Song Kai had 94 millennial top-ranked dragon blood fruits and 50 divine tempering fruits in his hand, an extremely considerable fortune. Above the mountain tens of thousands of meters from the foothills, Song Kai stood up from the ground. In 5 years' time, he had traveled from the base of the mountain to this place, and his comprehension progress of the space law had also advanced by leaps and bounds. If the threshold for entering the space law was 0.01%, then his current comprehension had almost reached about 0.1%. This number might look pitifully small, but for the Starry Sea's supreme law like space law, this progress was truly remarkable. According to authoritative data officially gathered by Torch Human Civilization, it takes an average of about 3 months for all novice Torch ship captains to begin comprehending laws. To increase law comprehension to 0.1%, it would take at least 50 years as a starting point. This was the average value for all laws. In fact, if one were to consider the space law separately, with its much higher difficulty of comprehension, this time span would be even longer. Song Kai was extremely satisfied with this. Of course, he also knew that this was not due to being extraordinarily gifted, but rather a result of the dual empowerment from the Dragon Spine's secret realm beneath his feet and the intermediate space law crystal in his hand. Under the enhancement of the Dragon Spine's secret realm, the Song clan members' law comprehension speed far exceeded that of ordinary Torch ship captains. Furthermore, he had a red epic quality intermediate space law crystal to assist him, which was why his comprehension speed could be so astounding. Moreover, another point was that, though his comprehension speed was among the top in the clan for the past 3,000 years, it was far from the pinnacle. Because he was very clear about these facts, Song Kai repeatedly reminded himself that in the realm of space law, he could only be considered moderately talented at best. Only with the help of the intermediate law crystal could he rank among the elites, so he could not afford to slacken or become complacent. Speaking of the intermediate space law crystal, Song Kai let out a sudden sigh, with a somewhat heavy heart. Looking down at the palm of his left hand, the law crystal that once shone with dazzling red light had dimmed by nearly half on its surface. This indicated that a substantial amount of the Starry Sea space law origin contained within the law crystal had been consumed, and before long, it would probably completely transform into an ordinary crystal stone. Why is a law crystal so precious? What justifies its value as being far ahead of other strange objects of the same rank? Is it merely because it is rare and scarce? Of course not. The reason they are considered treasures is that these strange objects are, strictly speaking, a consumable resource. The thread of Starry Sea origin law inside a law crystal will gradually be absorbed by stellar sea creatures as they comprehend it. The moment it is fully absorbed is also when the law crystal turns into an ordinary crystal stone. After gazing for a few seconds, Song Kai diverted his eyes. It should last for over 5 years, but what about after that? When the time comes, I must leave the Dragon Spine's secret realm, and without the boost from a law crystal, the speed of comprehending space law will probably be as slow as a crawling turtle. Shaking his head decisively, Song Kai pulled his thoughts away from this matter. There will be a way through the mountains when he reaches them. Future problems can be dealt with in the future. Right now, time is precious, and reaching the mountain's waist sooner rather than later is the urgent priority. He raised his gaze and looked up the mountain toward the midway point. The 6 inheritance stels became increasingly towering, so much so that even the threads of origin law surrounding each stele were clearly visible. The stele on the far left is surrounded by the metal lawa. Is that an indication that it holds inherited secret techniques related to metal attribute? The one on the right is the law of fire. But the two in the middle, containing various origin laws, what could be the reason for that? Song Kai continued his steps. Whatever it was, everything would become clear once he reached the mountainside. He was now not far from where the stels stood, and with a bit more effort, he could quickly reach the vicinity of the secret technique inheritance stele. Eagerly anticipating the inherited secret techniques for 5 years, which were now within arm's reach, Song Kai found it hard to remain calm. As time passed, on this day, trading at the ruins market began anew. As for the destination, that was very easy to guess. Years ago, Song Kai, using his Blue Blood clan identity, took the initiative to bring out the Dragon Blood fruit, a longevity artifact that had been around for 10,000 years. After that, Goblin Luke had come to him countless times, wanting to buy the top-ranked Dragon Blood fruits. However, each time the items he offered failed to satisfy Song Kai. Only once did he manage to trade one for 5 strands of 4th-rank floating land origin. But it seemed that this one was not allocated to Luke's hands but was instead consumed by an ancient 4th-rank goblin ancestor from the Viscount's mansion behind him. It was precisely because of this transaction that Luke had the chance to verify the efficacy of the Millennium Dragon Blood fruit from his elder ancestor's mouth, which made Goblin Luke even more fanatical. Nearly every time the Ruins Market was held, he would be sure to come over and pester Song Kai, to his great annoyance. But this time was different. Luke brought something Song Kai had long stressed he wanted. An orange-quality primary space law crystal. This was undoubtedly a huge surprise for Song Kai. Although a primary space law crystal was far inferior to an intermediate one, its supportive role in the comprehension of space laws was undeniable. As long as he acquired this law crystal, once the red space law crystal lost its effect, he wouldn't have to worry about his progress in law comprehension falling to an unbearable level. "How shall we trade?" Song Kai took the initiative to speak. Goblin Luke's thieving gaze spun quickly, scanning the Blue Blood clan's features back and forth, as if trying to detect any change in Song Chi's expression. But how could Song Kai make it easy for him? His experience in bargaining over the years was not for naught. His expression remained completely unaffected. Seeing that he couldn't discern any emotional changes, Luke cautiously gestured 4 fingers. 4 Millennium Dragon Blood fruits. Song Kai naturally wouldn't agree. Impossible. Dragon Blood fruits are longevity artifacts. One fruit can extend life by 50 years, just Onia. The two argued back and forth until finally, Song Kai firmly set the price at 2 Millennium Dragon Blood fruits, and Luke also had to add an additional 20 strands of 4th-rank floating land origin. Song Kai was clearly getting the better end of the deal. For the Song family, 2 Millennium Dragon Blood fruits equated to 100 points of golden merit, while just one space law crystal would not be valued under 130 points of golden merit. Including the 20 strands of 4th-rank floating land origin, Song Kai was effectively earning a net profit of 70 points of golden merit. Moreover, 130 points of golden merit was the price for a common law crystal. A space law crystal, being far more rare among all law crystals, was in fact worth much more than 130 points of golden merit. After securing the 20 strands of 4th-rank floating land origin and the low-level space law crystal, Song Kai finally nodded in satisfaction. This was the most satisfying trade he had made at the Ruins Market in recent years. Once the Ruins Market trade concluded, Song Kai didn't linger any longer in the market. He needed to hurry and continue improving his law comprehension in order to reach the location of the Inheritance Stele as early as possible. Only by doing so could he have more time to study and comprehend the various inherited secret techniques. Half a year later, Song Kai, with his spatial law comprehension degree now at 0.12%, finally made it to the location halfway up the mountain. Upon formally stepping onto the mountain's halfway plateau, Song Kai gained a clearer understanding of the 6 inheritance steles on the plateau. Their immense size surpassed even that of 5th-rank level mythical mechas, and the origin laws that permeated from them were nothing short of astonishing. Only by seeing these inheritance steles himself did Song Kai understand why the Song family insisted that a clan member's law comprehension must reach a certain threshold to cultivate the secret techniques engraved upon the steles. Because the inherited secret techniques left on these steles originally crystallized from the entire law comprehension of creatures above the 5th rank and were further enhanced by successive generations over long years. The origin laws contained in the steles had already reached a formidable level, a fact evident simply by looking at the dense primordial law origin imprinted all over the steles. And with the intensity of such origin law, if one's comprehension degree of the law does not reach at least 0.1%, not to mention actively comprehending the inherited secret techniques on it. Just a glance could make one dizzy and disoriented. The mere state of divine thought isn't nearly enough to bear the burden of an origin law of this magnitude. Suppressing the shock at the bottom of his heart, Song Kai realized his current law comprehension had already reached 0.12%, which was more than enough to confidently ponder the techniques on the sixth stele. Half a quarter of an hour later, after examining the stele up close, Song Kai discovered that the inherited secret techniques passed down on each of the six were not limited to just one. Each stele bore at least several techniques, with even two containing more than 10. After several meticulous observations, Song Kai also found that many of the techniques on the six inheritance stelae were not suitable for his own cultivation. For instance, the stelae at the very ends, inscribed with the law of gold and the law of fire, each bore techniques corresponding to their attributes, only accessible to those who had comprehended the respective power of laws. Beyond that, amongst the other four, two stelae contained techniques that weren't restricted by the type of law and could be cultivated by beings following any path of law. The final two stelae were somewhat unexpected to Song Kai. One was the origin stein of space law, while the other was the law of light attribute stein, which he could not cultivate. It meant that the techniques Song Kai could cultivate were limited to the remaining three stelae. Song Kai first looked at the stein of the origin of space law. Given that his path was that of the space law, in theory, this stele should be the most fitting one for him, but reality proved otherwise. The techniques recorded within this stele of space origin law numbered 6, of which the first Onia, the one with the lowest requirement, was the ruins returning / technique previously utilized by the head of his family in the Pusuo Heritage Tower star domain. Even this technique demanded a minimum space origin law comprehension degree of 0.15%. Honestly, this threshold wasn't high, but Song Kai hadn't yet reached this standard. However, despite the accessible threshold, it didn't imply that the ruins returning / technique was weak. The introduction to this technique on the inheritance stele was quite straightforward. As the spatial law comprehension degree increases, the might unleashed by this technique will grow stronger. As for the other 5 techniques, since his spatial law comprehension degree was too low, he couldn't even see the names of the techniques at the moment. With no alternative, Song Kai had to shift his attention to the last 2 inheritance stelae. He distinctly felt that these 2 stelae were vastly different from the other 4. They not only listed those techniques that disregarded the type of law and could be cultivated by any, but also, the techniques recorded on these 2 stelae exceeded 10. Among the 2, one stele was edged with incredibly ancient motifs of the dragon whale, which were significantly older than those on the other 4 stelae. Compared to the dragon whale stele, the other stele was also not ordinary. As ancient as the former, the most distinctive feature of this stele was its incomplete form, missing a corner at the top. Despite this, there were 13 inherited secret techniques recorded on this stele. As for Song Kai, the stele did not appear to be an original possession of the Song family. It seemed more likely to have been seized from outside, or perhaps it was acquired through a fortunate encounter or the exploration of an ancient civilization's remains. Regardless of where the stele came from, which power or which civilization, it now formed part of his family's foundation, so there was no need to ponder these extraneous matters. The second stele he actively examined was not the damaged one, but the dragon whale stele, towards which Song Kai felt an innate affinity. Perhaps it was the influence of the dragon spine tyrant whale, mythical mech contemplation diagram, contemplative secret method, or perhaps it was something else, but regardless, Song Kai did not hesitate and chose this inheritance stele. Soon, his eyes lit up as he saw a secret technique in this stele that was very familiar to him. Secret technique. Dragon whale form. Any law comprehension degree not lower than 0.1% may cultivate it. The secret technique recorded on the dragon whale inheritance stele in front of Song Kai was the most substantial among the 6 steles, consisting of 15 different methods. Yet this dragon whale state secret technique was the most accessible on this stele, as it did not limit the type of laws. Any creature that had comprehended any law could cultivate it. Song Kai had already had his suspicions about this. Previously, he had seen both a member of the Song family's second sequence and the family head Song Xuanchang using this technique. When they used this technique, one employed the ice law, while the other used the space law, from which Song Kai had already guessed this possibility. However, what was somewhat unexpected was that there was a second secret technique visible to him on the current Dragon Spine Inheritance stele. Secret technique. Black core pulse can be cultivated after reaching 0.1% law of light comprehension degree. This was an offensive technique with light attributes, which allowed the cultivator to gather all the law of light within their body and release an annihilation pulse wave in a designated direction, with incredibly terrifying might. However, this technique was clearly beyond his capability to cultivate. The law of light was also considered one of the more challenging laws to comprehend. Reaching a 0.1% comprehension degree without the aid of a law crystal would take at least nearly 10 years. Sitting before the Dragon Whale Inheritance stele, Song Kai focused all his spiritual attention on the stele, beginning to comprehend the Dragon Whale State secret technique with all his might. Meanwhile, on the vast ancient starry sky battlefield, after nearly 6 years of continuous exploration, the Song family had made extremely pleasing progress in their exploration of the supermassive flagship of the Tri-Eyed Royal Family. Not to mention the golden component, spatial wormhole generator, there were also 2 silver legend components. Red and other strange objects would burst forth every so often, and there was a substantial amount of various rare mineral resources, as well as medium-high rank floating land origin. One day, the Dragon Whale Guards, who had always been dedicated to exploring the core area of the flagship, had a significant discovery. In the chat group of a warship, where only a handful of people could communicate through magnetic waves, the voice of the Prime Ancestor suddenly arose, filled with evident excitement rather than his usual indifference despite his nearly 3,500 years of experience. 2 of them, really, 2 7th-rank domineering creatures. Hearing his words, which sounded more like a murmur to himself, the Song family's few 5th-rank torch ship captains trembled in their hearts and hurriedly tried to probe. Ancestor, has the Dragon Whale Guard entered the kinetic reactor chamber of the flagship's core? 2 7th-rank domineering creatures. In the communication projection, the virtual projection of the Prime Ancestor shook his head. The Dragon Whale Guard merely glanced at it from the exterior corner and did not truly enter the kinetic reactor chamber. However, they saw 2 ancient corpses piled up outside the chamber, corpses emitting a life pressure far exceeding that of 6th-rank creatures. One of the corpses is most likely a member of the Tri-Eyed Royal Family's dominators. The other, I cannot recognize the specific race. Upon hearing this, the faces of the 3 5th-rank torch ship captains were unable to conceal their excitement. 2 7th-rank dominator corpses. The specifics of the species were not important. What mattered was that for the Song family, this was an enormous opportunity. A 7th-rank dominator, even one that had perished, was of immeasurable value. Dominant origin blood, true spirit of the dominator, corpse law manifestation. Each aspect for a sovereign family like the Song was an utterly invaluable treasure. Even the several old 5th-rank ancestors saw a chance for the family to advance further. Not to mention anything else, based on the 2 7th-rank dominator corpses, it would not be difficult for the family to gain several more 6th-rank torch ship captains. But just as they were getting excited, the next words from the Prime Ancestor chilled their hearts. The bad news is, both dominator corpses have been possessed by a void demon. A void demon that has already begun to coalesce distinctive features of a true spirit and is half a step into 7th rank, and moreover, the flesh and blood of that unknown creature have been devoured by it for the most part, effectively leaving only one of the 2 dominator corpses. For a moment, the chat group of the warship fell silent. After a few seconds, Song Shiyuan broke the stillness. Half-step 7th rank is still within an acceptable range. If we can come up with a detailed action plan, it's not like we don't stand a chance. After he finished speaking, a familiar female voice also chimed in right after. Exactly, even if there's only 1 dominator corpse left, it's still an incredible opportunity, which, no matter what, must end up in the Song family's hands. After this, the chat group once again fell silent. This time, no one took the initiative to speak. They were all waiting for the old ancestor to make the final decision. Several minutes later, the voice of the Prime Ancestor finally spoke up again. Since everyone agrees, we naturally have to give it a try. Opportunities like this are laid out right before us. If we fail to seize them, the family is unlikely to encounter such chances again. As he spoke, before the few fifth-rank old family ancestors could rejoice, he added, "Shiyuan, remember that red component, maternal and child projection blade tomb, on the immovable Ming King, right?" In the group chat, Song Shiyuan quickly nodded. "Yes, ancestor, I have enhanced that component to the 6th rank level. Unfortunately, limited by my current strength, the blade coin projection only has ordinary 5th ranked combat power, which I'm afraid." Before he could finish, it seems Song Shiyuan thought of something. "Ancestor, are you suggesting to temporarily replace the maternal and child projection blade tomb with?" Before he could finish, the response had already come from the fearless ship. "Exactly, with the combat power of my flagship, once the maternal and child projection blade tomb component is activated, it should be able to exert the combat power of a standard 6th rank torch warship. Coupled with the assistance of dozens of Dragon Whale guards, it won't be difficult to hold off that half-step 7th rank Void Demon. As for securing that Dominator body, that will be up to you." Song Shiyuan and the other two exchanged glances, and after a detailed discussion, they revealed a look of determination, clearly having reached a decision. Although the pressure emitted by the 7th rank Dominate body was terrifying, and it was deeply located in the core area of a 7th rank warship, not to mention its tens of thousands of kilometers in size, it was obviously not an easy task to collect it in a short period of time. However, as ancestors of the Song family, was there any among them who wasn't an old antique who had lived over 2,000 years? With over 2,000 years of accumulation, the various components on their flagships could be considered incredibly diverse, and after the three of them revealed the attributes of all kinds of components without any reservation, and coordinated them together, they quickly came up with a feasible plan. If these components were combined, there would be more than a 60% chance of securing the corpse of the tri-eyed royal family Dominator. But if one thought that was it, they'd be sorely mistaken. A 7th rank domineering creature's corpse, what massive implications did it entail? And how could they settle on a plan with only a 60% chance of success so hastily? Soon, a message from the family's ancestral vein, issued by the Eastern Ancestor, appeared in the entire family clan elder chat group. All clan elders are ordered to send a private message with the detailed information of all components on their warships. This matter is related to the family's future plans for a millennium, or even 10 millennia. No concealing of information is allowed. In fact, there was no need for those last 5 stern words. Upon hearing, "This matter is related to the family's prosperity or decline for a millennium, or even 10 millennia," all the clan elders basically sent the information of their flagship components without any reservation. This was also because everyone belonged to the same family, and the Song family's cohesion was extremely high. If it were outside, such a thing would be unimaginable. Just think, who would reveal all their cards without reservation and put their lives in the hands of others? In several battleships, the three ancestors had slight smiles on their faces. Without looking, one would have no idea, but upon inspection, it was quite a surprise to see that these clan elders truly had many top-ranked components in their hands, including more than 10 pieces of the Silver Legend component, and there were even several that they themselves coveted highly after seeing. Even as 5th-rank battleship captains, it is truly said that many hands make light work. After all, there were only 3 of them, while there were dozens of family clan elders present. The components from dozens of Zhulu warships, when aggregated, soon resulted in 2 entirely new action plans, one of which even had a success rate of more than 70%. A full 10 points higher than the first plan they had devised. Soon after, various orders began to be issued in the warship group chat. All mentioned clan members come together later for a meeting. Ancestral Vein Song Xuanwu, Heavenly Vein. Inform the Northwind, the transfer warship, to immediately return to the Dragonspine continent and bring over the air from the Dingai unparalleled Zhulu warship. Additionally, in the next few years, accelerate the exploration of the periphery of the Tri-Eye race's flagship. Try to complete the exploration of all peripheral compartments within 2 years. After a series of commands were issued, nearly all the Song family clan elders ranked 4th rank and above mobilized, and this enormous entity, made up entirely of 4th rank and above torch ship captains, began to operate at full capacity once again. Time passed, and 3 years flew by in an instant, and it wasn't until today that the entire periphery of the Tri-Eyed Royal Family Dominator battleship was finally fully explored. Although the orders given by the elders were to complete the exploration of the outer areas within 2 years, the warship was simply too large. Even with all the clan elders working overtime, it still took 3 years. And this was just barely achieved. There were in fact still a small number of compartments on the periphery of the entire warship that had not been explored yet, but the ancestors had to call a halt. It wasn't that they couldn't wait for the next few months, but according to the Dragon Whale Guard's monitoring, that half-step 7th rank Void Demon had already set its sights on the corpse of the Tri-Eyed Royal Family Dominator, and they could no longer delay. 3 years ago, in a newly created communication group chat, the voice of the family's ancestors rang out. "All right, members of the first plan group, be prepared. As soon as I issue the order, act immediately." Received. Understood. Great Ancestor. There were fewer than 20 people in this group chat, yet each one was an indispensable part of the 3 action plans. At this moment, everyone's heartbeat in the group chat was accelerating because, 3 years earlier, they had all been informed of the specific target of this operation. Just thinking about their imminent involvement in the clan's struggle to claim a Dominator body filled the 4th rank clan elders with unrest. Meanwhile, within the Tri-Eyed Royal Family's Dominator flagship, in a corridor corner outside the kinetic reactor chamber, in the battleship's core, dozens of hidden 7th rank Dragon Whale soldier figurines suddenly burst forth. As they did, the cloaking light screens that had been adhering to their puppet bodies failed instantly, startling the Void Demon standing between the 2 Dominator bodies at the scene. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. A multitude of tangible space law blades whistled in, and although the terrifying stability of the ship's internal space rendered these blades unable to slash through space as usual, their shooting speed was still astonishing. Buzz buzz buzz. One after another, the law blades struck the bodies of several Dragon Whale guards, leaving deep gouges in their puppet bodies, but as 7th rank soldier figurines, they bore some attributes of 7th rank creatures and were far from fragile. Seeing that the effect of its space law blade attack wasn't as devastating as usual in ending the fight, the red in the half-step 7th rank Void Demon's eyes deepened. However, it chose not to recklessly pursue its opponents. As a nearly 7th rank Void Demon, bloodthirsty and brutal as it was, its intelligence was not inferior. It could tell that the Dragon Whale Guards were not weak in combat power and wouldn't rashly pursue. Moreover, the 2 dominant bodies surrounding it were of utmost importance. If it could devour the flesh of a second Dominator, it would have a good chance of completely advancing to a Void Overlord, 7th rank Void Demon. Roar roar roar. Its hideous mouth suddenly opened wide, and sharp roars echoed forth from within. Far away, in the fearless ship's main control room, the first ancestor of the Song family's expression shifted slightly. He understood that the enemy was calling its kind, and if another or even several 6th rank Void Demons were to appear, the family's subsequent plans would be utterly disrupted. He would not allow that to happen. Shiyuan, take action. As his command resonated through the group chat, several members of the first plan group immediately sprang into action. Their battleship's deployment platforms activated simultaneously, and then just outside the breach the Dragon Whale Guards had previously made into the Tri-Eye race's battleship core zone, nearly 100 soldier figurines of 5th rank and above revealed themselves. These figurines charged into the breach one after the other, according to a pre-planned sequence, heading straight for the core area. They had opted not to enter the battleship beforehand because the figurines' ranks varied, and the half-step 7th rank Void Demon's perceptive abilities were frighteningly acute. One false move would alert the enemy. As the multitude of figurines was rushing towards the core, the Dragon Whale Guards made their move as well. A soldier figurine in the back suddenly threw a blade coin that shimmered with blade light, and in the next second, a 10,000-meter-tall mythical mech projection appeared. Compared to the 10,000-meter projection of the immovable Ming King, this mech giant's projection was far more powerful, yet at this moment, the projection dared not relax in the slightest. It had to stop the half-step 7th rank Void Demon ahead from continuing its call for its kind. The 100,000-meter mech giant's right arm raised high, and without any apparent charging, a spatial god light imbued with the power of space laws erupted abruptly as the mech armor projection's right arm lifted. This god light was omnipresent, seemingly existing in infinite space. No matter how the half-step 7th rank Void Demon ahead attempted to dodge, it could not escape. Whoosh! The god light struck the chest of the half-step 7th rank Void Demon, penetrating its body. Yet strangely enough, despite the impressive momentum of the spatial god light, no energy explosion occurred upon hitting the Void Demona. It was as if it had lost its effect. However, the 100,000-meter mech armor projection displayed no abnormalities, maintaining an air of having everything under control. Looking at the half-step 7th rank Void Demon again, as time passed, its body began to show a massive, uncontrolled surge of space laws. Only then did it belatedly realize the cause of its growing panic. As a favored child of space, space laws were fundamental to it, yet now it was being told that an astonishingly uncontrollable amount of space laws had suddenly amassed around it, moreover, without its awareness. This caused it great unease, extreme unease. In the Song family's operation planning chat group, the urging voices suddenly intensified. Quick! In the main control room of the fearless ship, the golden light was shimmering, casting the entire warship interior into a shade of gold. The spatial god light just triggered by the maternal and child projection blade tomb was activated by a golden holy domain component on the warship. Otherwise, how could the mech armor projection, whose combat power had been greatly reduced under the blade coin projection, possibly surpass a half-step 7th rank Void Demon in the area of space laws? Void Exiler LV70 Quality. Gold Feature, Void Exile. Feature 2. Loads Warship Spatial Resistance plus 8200. Within the Tri-Eye Race Dominator's flagship, the space laws on the surface of the half-step 7th rank Void Demon had intensified to an extreme. Crack, crack, crack. Under the endless cutting of these space laws, even the spatial stability inside a 7th rank warship was now torn apart, ripping open a massive dimensional breach. The half-step 7th rank Void Demon roared, with terror and rage crazily intertwining within its crimson eyes. The terror stemmed from the growing diameter of the space breach behind it, with an increasingly strong suction force as time went on. The rage came from spotting the 50 soldier figurines emerging from the side corridors, understanding that the enemy's target was not itself, but the two dominate bodies. Regardless of its unwillingness, its form could only gradually be exiled into the spatial breach behind it. The exile strength that could be triggered by the 7th rank level Golden Sanctuary spatial component, which had been enhanced, was unimaginably powerful. This was after the weakening due to the blade coin projection. Otherwise, had the first ancestor of the Song family's own flagship executed it, the Void Demon wouldn't have even had the chance to struggle before being exiled with a single encounter. Of course, this exile was only temporary. Once the exile time lapsed, the exiled would return. Moreover, due to the Void Demon's identity as a favored child of space, the duration of its exile would be significantly shorter. Hurry! The exile won't last long. The moment the half-step 7th rank Void Demon completely vanished from the warship's interior, the 56th rank soldier figurines in the side corridor struggled to approach the dominate bodies. One of the 6th rank, Indomitable Giant Ape, soldier figurines swiftly tossed a special jade token it held, which upon touching the tri-eyed royal family dominate body, astonishingly merged into the corpse. Shortly afterward, the immense body of the tri-eyed royal family dominate body, originally thousands of kilometers, began to rapidly shrink. 9,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers. In just the blink of an eye, the colossal being was reduced to 10,000 meters. This reduction in size would make subsequent actions much more feasible. Dozens of sixth-rank indomitable giant ape soldier figurines suddenly moved forward, taking their optimal positions, and then lifted the still 10,000-meter dominate body with difficulty toward the corridor. The Song family had many sixth-rank soldier figurines on their clan elders' warships, but why specifically bring 50 indomitable giant ape figurines? Isn't it because of their mountain-moving strength? Other soldier figurines, perhaps even 100 sixth-rank ones, would fear being unable to move this corpse. Yet, just as the 50 indomitable giant apes struggled to stand up, a violent spatial fluctuation unexpectedly emerged from the completely sealed spatial breach beside them, with fine void cracks rapidly appearing. Exile is about to end, quick. Hearing this, all 56th-rank indomitable giant ape soldier figurines surged with spectral energy, disregarding the occasional popping sounds coming from their puppet bodies, and hastened back towards the corridor they came from. It couldn't be helped. Although the shrinking jade token had reduced both the volume and mass of the dominate body to correspond with the 10,000-meter size, the 7th-rank being's inherent bone density was beyond imagination. Naturally, its mass far exceeded that of a typical 10,000-meter corpse. Even with the 50 indomitable giant apes giving their all, their pace could not quicken. Luckily, dozens of 5th-rank, Windrider, puppet soldiers stationed deep within the corridor began to act, casting mysterious wind blades from their fingertips, directly rushing towards the 10,000-meter dominate body up ahead. The Windrider soldier was only a 5th-rank puppet, unable to withstand the pressure at the 7th-rank level, so it could only stay inside the corridor. Now, as the 50 indomitable giant ape soldier figurines carried the tri-eyed royal family dominate body directly in front of them, they finally had a target for their spells.